Is that working? There we go. That was weird. It changed my default microphone. I wasn't muted, but the right microphone wasn't set up. So that was a thing. How's everybody doing? Little technical difficulties just to start us off. How are everybody this morning? It is what? Thursday, November 2nd, day number 93 inside the Big Brother house. Started off a little muted there, but hey, we got it fixed in the end. We are 1 week away from finale night, where we will find out the winner of Big Brother 25. Tonight, we find out who the final 4 will be because one of the final 5 will be evicted. But before we get into all of that kind of stuff, there is a few things to go over on the live feeds, and then we'll jump into the chat and we'll say hi to everybody. I see you all there. I see you all there. Good morning. As far as the feeds go, there wasn't too much to really cover. For the most part, Cirie and Felicia, they've been kind of doing their own thing. The Mafia, Matt, Jag, and Bowie, they've kind of been doing their own thing. Everybody's kind of just hanging out either in the HOH room or the comic room. They're kind of staying separate. But Cirie and Felicia, they've kind of realized at this point, like, yeah, they've both been told that they're safe. So they know, like, it's one of them. They're being lied to, and it doesn't even really matter who it is. They're just trying to figure out who they think they're more likely to beat in a mental competition. So they're just waiting for them just to make their decision. They're not trying to worry about it too much. They're like as cool as you can be in this game, right? Like, oh, I'm going home. Like, not much I can really do, so might as well just accept it. But they both are very, very bitter at Jag and Bowie, especially because they, like a lot of us, see that everything that's been going on with, like, oh, like, we're probably going to vote for you. Like, maybe we're going to vote for you. Maybe we won't. Like, you got my vote. Like, you also have my vote. And all of this is just so unnecessarily. And they just keep stringing them along. And there's no point to it. And it's just making them just even more and more bitter towards Jag especially, but Bowie as well. Cirie does think, though, that Matt will take a shot at Jag. I'm not too sure. If Matt were to win the veto in Final 4, I honestly don't know if he would take the shot at Jag. And he might, right? Because he might think like, yeah, you know what? Jag's not going to take me. But I think for Matt, he's just too loyal of a player and he's not thinking of it in that way. But I don't know. I don't know. It would be interesting to see how that would play out. As far as like how the jury goes, because jury management is terrible. The jury management of Jag especially has just been atrocious. And I thought what we could do is, let me see if I can get this to work right here. If I do this, hey, there we go. I got a little jury chart that I put together here, and I think if I do this right, well, let's select them both of those. Yeah, I can like individually move these people around, and we can run some jury scenarios here with the chat. So chat, who do we want to start off with? What scenario of a final 2 do you guys want to see happen first here? Do we start off with the easy one of Matt and Jag? Do we do that? I think that might be the best way to go about it. So let's see here. I'm figuring this thing out as I go. We'll do this. Actually, you know what I can do? I think I don't need those because I'm just moving things at this point. Yeah. There we go. And we'll pull Cirie down here too. We'll put you there for now. You can just hang out. We need a space for her. Hold on. Let's make some room. Let's make some room for Cirie. We'll move everybody over. We'll move everybody over here. Get Cirie moved up here. Felicia. Oh no. We'll put Bowie over there. She's likely to be in final 2 scenarios, so we'll leave her over there. So let's start off with Matt and Jag. I honestly, if you guys want me to be completely honest here, I don't even think we got to move anything around. I think everyone, right? Like all of these all go over here. These all are Matt people. Matt gets Cirie, he gets Bowie, he gets Felicia, he gets the whole rest of the jury. I don't think there's one person that votes for Jag in a final two of Matt and Jag. I don't think there's one. Let me know, what are you guys thinking? What do you think? Do you think anyone flips over to Jag in this? Is there even one vote that would go for Jag? Anyone have a different opinion in here? Iowa in the house, what up? How are you? Otter agrees. Lillian says you're right. Aaron agrees. Let's see. No flips to Jag. Oh, Aaron, give it a second. I think you're a little behind. My mic was all messed up. Poor Jag. Caroline, I think that's the only one that maybe you could make an argument that Cameron could go either way. But I think at the end of the day, if you can go either way with somebody, you always end up just going with who you like more. And Cameron always was more tight with Matt. Since the very beginning of the game, there was like the little alliance where it was like Matt, Red, and Cameron. So while I think Cameron really likes Jag, how he's played the game, and he respects it, I think at the end he would go with Matt. Plus, with everybody else going with Matt, I think it would end up just being unanimous for Matt in the end. But Cameron, Blue, and Bowie. Sally, you know what? I could see that as well. I could see the three of them all going. But even in that scenario, right? Let's say we give him Cameron. Let's say we give him Blue. And let's say, oh, we got jury now. Jury. We got Ori Streams jury chart jury. And let's say we give him Bowie. Oh, that's Cory too. Let's say we give him Bowie. Right? That's 3-4. Is there anyone you think of these four that would flip on Matt and give Jag the win? Any of these four that you think would flip? Because this, I think, is the best case scenario for Jag, right? Is if he gets all three of these votes, he would just need one more to win. But I don't see the other one that he can get, right? Like, Cirie's not going to flip on Matt. She likes Matt too much. Felicia really doesn't like Jag right now. Cory in America, I could see a scenario where they might go, you know what? We respect Jag winning all the competitions that he needed to win and he couldn't get out. But I think they also would go, there's no Jag without Matt, right? Like, there's no Jag in this game if Matt doesn't save him with that power. And they know that. So I think that gives him a little bit of credit. We did have a little bit of a good point. Morrow brought it up in the Discord yesterday. What if Jag won the final 3 HOH and took Matt with him? That would kind of even out that, like, well, Matt saved Jag, so there would be no Jag in the game. If Jag were the one to take Matt to the end, that would kind of even it out between the two of them. But then that kind of goes back to what I was saying, where at the end of the day, usually if things are even, you're voting for who you like more, right? And I think most of them just like Matt more than the others. Whoever is sitting next to Jag wins. Angie, you might be onto something. Who would you personally like to see win this final two? I think Matt. I think Matt just deserves it the most of everybody left in the house. I think he's the one who's played the best. If it were to get to these two in the final two, I think Matt. I think Matt should win these two. And honestly, I think Matt beats everybody, right? Like, even if Cirie like survives this week somehow, if Felicia were to go and Cirie's still there and somehow gets to the final two with Matt, I think Matt would still win. I really do think Matt would still win. I think because then at that point, if it's Matt and Cirie, let's just run this scenario real quick, right? We can do this. Let's just take Jag out and let's put Cirie in just for funsies. It's not gonna happen, but just for funsies, if we ran this scenario, Felicia, ooh, we took Cory over there too. Felicia's over for Cirie. Jag is going to be over here for Matt. Cameron could. I could see him going for Cirie, but I think at the end he would go for Matt. Blue's another one where I could see her going for Cirie, but I think she would go for Matt in this situation. Bowie, I think, goes for Matt. Cory in America, I think at the end of the day, they would rather see someone new win than to see a returnee win. I don't know. What do you guys think in this situation? Would there be anybody here that would go for Cirie? I think the ones that are kind of the most likely would be Blue. Maybe Cameron. But also, I think he still sticks with Matt. And then Cory and America are kind of wild cards here, right? I could see them going for Cirie, but I think they're going to stick with Matt overall. But I'm not sure. What do you guys think in this one? Again, I think that's two scenarios here where I think Matt wins. I honestly think Matt beats everybody in these scenarios. Blue would vote for Cirie for Jared. Roman, yeah, I think that's one where I could see it, right? I could totally see Blue voting for Cirie if she were to end up there. I could see that. But I also think she's more mad at Jag than she was Matt, but she also was closer to Jag than she was Matt. So I could see her going for Cirie. Sally, you think Cory goes for Cirie? It's possible. If you get Cory, you get America. If you get Cory, you get America, and that would be a win for Cirie, like right there. But I don't know. I think they're tougher to say who they would be for. I think Felicia, you can pretty much say is over there for a lock. I think Bowie and Jag would be a lock over there. I think Blue, you could kind of put maybe in the middle here. Cameron, you could maybe put in the middle here. And maybe Cory in America, you could put in the middle there. I think there are votes that could be up for grabs. That could be, but I don't know. I don't see it. He loves the game. Cirie is game. That's true. That is true. I was watching the feeds last night. Jag, Bowie in bed. Jag telling her he needs to win HOH tonight. To get a letter from his siblings because that's the last thing he needs to accomplish the win. Interesting. I think both of them kind of do realize like they're a little bit worried about what Matt would do with it. They also they're like Felicia can't win. Like whatever happens, Felicia can't win. Matt and Jag have already talked about this. Like they're like, if Felicia wins, we just smoke her in the final. That's what we do. But especially for Bowie, Felicia cannot win. And for Jag, he wants Bowie in the final two with her. So he definitely does not want Felicia to win. I think Felicia would vote and Blue would vote for Cirie. Ginger Locks, I think I'm with you. Cameron really respects Cirie, so I could see him voting for her too. Tori, I'm kind of with you, right? Where I think Cameron could go Cirie. I think overall, though, he probably would go for Matt in the end, but it's not as guaranteed as like 100%, right? I just overall, my gut would say most of these people would end up going for Matt over Cirie, but I don't know. Let's see where we're at. Cameron really respects Cirie because Matt will win. Jag will take floater Bowie, thinking he can beat her. Matt will be shocked at the betrayal. That is true, Kelly. I think Matt would be kind of shocked if Jag doesn't take him. And then would that mean Matt votes for Bowie? Do we run the Jag Bowie scenario? Do we jump into that final two scenario? Because that's an interesting one there. That one is, there's a lot to debate on that one. In BB Can 10, everyone in the jury said they wouldn't vote for Kevin Jacobs until they heard his speech. That's kind of true, but also, like, I just feel like for the most part, I think they all did still have it in their gut that they would vote for Kevin too. I think it's very rare that the final speeches really matter that much. Like, I know a lot of people give Taylor a lot of credit for her speech, which, don't get me wrong, Taylor last year, her speech was incredible. She did an amazing job putting that all together. I don't think it swung any votes. I think they already had it in their head that they were voting for Taylor to win if she was in the final two with Monty or Turner. I don't think what she said mattered at all. I think if she was sitting in the final two, she was winning that night. But she did have a great speech, right? Like, I'm not taking that, like, the speech was fantastic. What was it, like, I was a shield, but then I turned into a sword or whatever. Like, it was great. It was fantastic. But I don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered at the end of the day. Yeah, BB24 already decided at the round table. And Stan, for the most part, I think that's how most of the juries are. There may be one or two that, like, go into finale night thinking, I could go either way depending on what happens here. But I think for the most part, juries are really kind of decided before they go in. They're like, yeah, if it's, Jag and Matt, we're going Matt. If it's Jag and Bowie, we're going Bowie, right? Like, I think they already have thought about that enough going into there. But maybe. If Matt and Jag in final two, Matt wins. I think so, Lori. Happy birthday, Debbie. Yeah, happy birthday to Debbie. You know what, Debbie? This is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Anyway, let's get back. Happy birthday, Debbie. Yeah, I think it could be interesting. A lot of these different scenarios. I think we got to run the Bowie and Jag one next. That might be the one we have to do. Paul's speech in his second season altered one vote. Roman, that is true. There was one vote that would have flipped if Paul took ownership of his game and, like, kind of was like, yeah, you know what? I was a bit of a bully, but it was part of the game. And if he would have done that, he would have won. If he would have done that, he would have won, but he didn't. So yes, it can happen. But I think overall, like with that jury, most of them already had their mind set up, but one didn't. And sometimes all it takes is one, right? Like, in a situation where one vote's really gonna matter, yeah, the speech can sway a vote. But I think overall, most of them already have a pretty good idea. They already have a pretty good idea who they're voting for. She swayed me even. So Macy, like, I understand, like, if, like, you weren't going to vote her and then you were swayed, like, that's fair. I just think that jury, they already knew Taylor was winning no matter who was up there. I just don't see any scenario where they were voting for Monty. I don't see any scenario where they were voting for Turner unless it was the two of them against each other. I think they all were going for Taylor. And I'll tell you a big reason why they all swung for Taylor, because I don't think they vote for Taylor if the jury wasn't tainted like it was. And it's also something that I didn't really keep an eye on much this season to see what the exit interviews for the jury was like. The exit interview for the jury last season was rough because they gave away too much. Every jury member, every single one, was always asked, so what do you think of the treatment of Taylor earlier in the season? Every single one. And you can't do that. You just can't. You can't be like, so what did you think of that? Because everybody out here, we hated it. Like, that's basically what they said. They basically told the jury, we hated how you treated Taylor. That, like, I'm just saying, that's why they had their mind made up. And that's the thing, like, Lisa, I don't think it was just Terrence saying that it was Big Brother. I just think in general, the jury was influenced. Like, it wasn't like it was Big Brother's fault because they're the one that handled the jury interviews and all that. But I just think in general, they mishandled that and it got into their heads and they went, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe we should all just give Taylor the win because everybody hates us right now. 100% Brittany. I think Taylor got sympathy votes. And I don't even think that's like a hot take on that. Taylor's game and speech was sympathy votes. Look what I overcame. That's why I deserve this. That was her argument, right? No more exit interviews. That's probably the best, right? Like, just do the interviews with Julie and make sure they don't say enough, right? Like, make sure they're very limited on what they say to people. And don't get me wrong, this isn't the first time Big Brother has tainted a jury. In fact, this is kind of like a make good. If you go all the way back to BB3, Danielle Reyes should have won that season. Like, they didn't sequester the jury, right? So like, they saw everything. They saw Danielle doing devil horns in the diary room and they're like, no, you don't get the win. And like, that sucks. That sucks. But yeah, I 100% think that most of Taylor's, like, not saying Taylor didn't do stuff to win. I just think that jury was full on, like, there was nobody else they were voting for. Didn't matter. They were voting for Taylor. Yeah, BB3, it stunk. And they've gone and they've fixed that now, right? At least the juries are sequestered. They don't get to keep watching the show. That would change a lot. Could you imagine if the juries weren't sequestered and they got to go back and see the whole season? That would change how people played as well. Like, it would be a completely different show if, like, you knew everyone you evicted that was going to be voting for you got to see everything you were saying. Like, I don't know. Like, would people just play it safer and be nicer? Or would they start going, like, all out more? And would they, like, try and, you know, be even more mischievous, right? And, like, do more crazy stuff behind the scenes to get more people being like, you know what? I didn't even know he was doing that. I don't know. It'd be weird. Right? People would be so fake, Ace. Like, they'd be so fake if that was how it worked. In your eyes, will this season have a good winner? I think if Matt and Jag win, if one of them win, yeah, you can say it. If Cirie were somehow to get past the night and win, yeah, I think she would deserve it. Listen, I think we all just have to be honest. If Bowie somehow wins, it's not a good winner. Listen, guys. If Bowie wins, it's not a good winner. It's the best winner. Bowie Jane winning would be the GOAT win. No, I think, honestly, I think if we ended up with a Felicia Bowie final two, if that ended up being the final two somehow, it'd be the most entertaining one of, like, who's gonna win that one. Do you guys want to run the final two scenario of Bowie Felicia? Do we run this one? Let's run this one. Let's run the scenarios where Bowie wins. Let's get Matt out of there. Let's get Jag out of there. Let's run the scenario where Bowie wins the game. Felicia versus Bowie. I think you've got, let's see. Cameron over here is going to vote for Bowie. Matt's probably going to vote for Bowie. Cirie, Felicia. Blue? Where does Blue vote? Where does Blue vote with Felicia and Bowie? I'm not sure. Cameron votes Bowie, I think. I think Cameron's locked in for Bowie. This comes down to Blue, Cory, and America. Who do they vote for? Who do these people vote for? You think they all vote for Felicia? You think these three right here all go Felicia? I don't know. I don't know if they do go Felicia. Blue Felicia probably. Bowie will win because of her smile. Cory because it's funny. Roman, that's the best argument. That's the best argument. Cory votes for Felicia because it's funny. But what's funnier? Roman, what's funnier? Felicia winning or Bowie winning? Both are funny. This is the comical final two scenario. Like, there is no non-funny winner. This is the unserious final two. This is the not serious people. They're just not serious people in this final two. One of them has to win though. Felicia's teeth. But listen, you might say Felicia's teeth, but there's been talk about Bowie's teeth. Both have teeth. The mustard seed. This whole cast is not serious. Either way, Felicia wins America's favorite player. Matt and Jack would be livid. Multiverse at its finest. This is the final two we deserve. This is the final two we deserve, people. Felicia was on the block 7 times. She was, right? So maybe, is that credit for her to get the win? Or does that mean that Bowie had the better social game because she was never nominated? Keep that in mind, everybody. Bowie was never nominated this season yet. She's still not been on the nomination block. If Bowie wins the final final 3 HOH, and either, or well, no, she would have to win the final 4 HOH as well. If Bowie wins the final 2 HOHs, Bowie's in the final 2, never nominated. Not once. Same for Matt. If Matt wins the last 2 final HOH, Matt can't win the final HOH. Hold on. Matt can't win this next HOH. So that means Matt will automatically be nominated. Correct? No. He's not automatically. He could still technically not be nominated. If Bowie or Matt won, they could still leave him off the block. If he loses the veto, he's automatically nominated. Like, there's no otherybody else, right? Whoever holds the veto isn't nominated. So if Matt were to lose the veto, he's automatically nominated. But he can't win the HOH. Like, that's for sure. He can't win the final 4 HOH. So for Matt, he needs to win the veto or he's automatically nominated. And that's if he's not nominated already. He would need that to keep his not nominated streak. Bowie, though, Bowie's got 2 shots. Bowie can win the HOH. Bowie can win the veto. And if she wasn't nominated before the veto, she still could not ever be nominated. If it ended up being Felicia nominated like 7-8 times versus Bowie never nominated, who wins? Who wins that? Matt has to be picked to go. Yeah, so it's with the veto, right? Like, Matt can't play for the HOH, so he could technically be nominated or could be kept off the block. But if he loses that veto, then he ends up being nominated for sure. So Matt only really has 1 chance, and he also needs his social game to keep him off the block. Doesn't really matter in Final 4 nominations other than, like, hey, I've never been nominated, don't put me on the block. Who would vote for Ory out of this finals 2 scenario? Oh, I thought you meant who would vote for Ory, like if I were in the final 2? No. Who would I vote for? Oh, man. Who would I vote for between Bowie and Felicia? Oh man. I think gameplay wise, I think you would have to give it to Bowie. But my heart says Felicia. my heart says Felicia so bad. Like Bowie, I think in this final two, I think Bowie deserves it. If this ended up being the final two, and because here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. How does this final two come about? The only way this final two, I think, comes about is if Felicia somehow wins final 3 HOH. Which is if Felicia wins final 3 HOH, give her the check. Give her the check. If Bowie wins final 3 HOH and she takes Felicia over Jag or Matt, Bowie the secret super genius? Like Bowie the mastermind? I don't know. I'm just I think there's a lot of debate on who would deserve it here, depending on how this scenario turned, like how we got here. How we got here, I think, matters a lot with these two. But my heart would want to vote for Felicia. Bowie doesn't deserve it. I don't know. I think maybe she might, right? In this scenario? In this little scenario, like if she took out Matt or Jag to get to the final two and take Felicia with her, I mean, maybe. Bowie would say, nah. Never gonna happen. It would be an interesting scenario. It would. Do you guys want to run the other interesting scenario? Do you guys want to run the other one that I think is likely to happen? I think there's two final twos that are the most likely to happen. Matt and Jag. But also the second most likely, because this is the out there scenario. This is the one that's like probably not going to happen. This one though. Oop, Cameron's coming too. Cameron said, I wanted to come. No, just, oh, Felicia said she wanted to come too. This is the final two scenario that we're most, oop, stop moving around, Jag. We just want Felicia. This is the final two scenario that I think everyone's most interested in. Who wins if it's Jag versus Bowie? Who wins? Let's break this down. I think Cirie is like, can I vote for neither? Is there an option not to vote? Cirie would like to abstain. Cirie just says, listen, I'm gonna go home. You guys figure it out. I don't know what you need to do to figure out who votes for me, who gets my vote, but I ain't decided. Gosh, I think Cirie would end up voting for Jag. If she had to choose, I think she votes for Jag. But she's gonna do it begrudgingly. Like, she's gonna look for any reason. She's gonna look for any reason not to do it. Felicia, I think also would end up voting for Jag. I think Matt would vote for Jag. I think Cameron, I think he would vote for Jag. And I think Cory in America would also vote for Jag. I think Blue as well. And I think Jag does win it. I think he does. As much as it's like, I think it's a bitter ass jury, I think if they're given the option of Jag and Bowie, I think at the end of the day, they would go for Jag. But every single one of these people would all want to vote for Bowie. Every single one of them would be dying for a reason. They would be going in there saying, please, Jag, please. Like, this would be a scenario where the entire jury would all go in knowing Jag's getting our vote. But they'd be listening to that speech, waiting for one little thing for Jag to say to go, yep, we're voting for Bowie now. They would be looking for one thing to flip it and vote for Bowie. Most predictable scenario, Jag versus Bowie. See, that's the thing. I don't know. Like, because I could see them all just going, nah. I could see them going, nah, and just going for Bowie. I really could. But I think they would. I think they would vote for Jag, and that would be that. But I don't know. Let's see. Where are we at? Cirie ain't voting no Jag. And that's the thing. That's the thing. In her heart, she would hate it. She would hate having to do it. But she would know it'd be the right decision. You know what I mean? Like, I think at the end of the day, she would probably go for Jag over Bowie. But it would be like, oh, it's like a Sophie's Choice, but like, instead of it being like, oh, this is a tough decision, like, I love them both, it's, I hate them both. What's the opposite of a Sophie's Choice? Is there an opposite? Do we just call it a Cirie's Choice? I have to pick between the two people I hate. What would that be? Lynn, you're speaking facts. Oh, what did I miss? I basically got attacked last year when I voiced my opinion on Taylor's win. Not on Ory's channel, though. And that's the thing. If you are a huge fan of Taylor's win, or if you're against Taylor's win, either way, you're welcome here, right? We welcome everyone to the discussion. I don't believe in attacking anyone for anyone's opinion. In fact, there was actually a fun little convo that was happening in the comments in yesterday's video after I was like, listen, this stuff happens, right? Someone was like, you know, you're being biased, and it's stupid to think that you know, it's your opinion, it's stupid. I was like, well, you're basically saying the thing you don't like, where house get real mean and personal, and they attack each other and they go too far. You think that you can then use that in your argument, like, you invalidate your whole argument when you're like, no, they're being too mean in there, but you're being stupid. Like, come on, if we're going to have the discussion, we can have the discussion on whether or not they are going too far. And I know a lot of you think they are going too far. I kind of agree that, like, I'd rather them not, but I also understand why it happens. It's also happened many times this season with other people, but also many other seasons in the past. And there is an argument that maybe we should, you know, develop and get better and be better as a society. Listen, if we're being real honest, society has a lot of work, not just here locally, wherever you live, but internationally. Like, we all know there's a lot of issues in the world, a lot of terrible shit that happens. I usually try not to use any of the cuss words here on YouTube, but we all know, like, society ain't great. And if we try and make this some perfect example of society inside this house, like, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We're not going to get, like, this perfect utopia inside that house. And also, I don't think the people saying they're being too mean, if they really did get this, like, perfect, everybody was nice Big Brother, they'd then be complaining and asking for old Big Brother back. You can't have it both ways. You just can't. As much as, like, yeah, I'd rather everybody not be, you know, a dick inside the house. It's just kind of Big Brother. And that's what gives Big Brother entertainment, is when people are kind of dicks. Like, Evil Dick is one of the most entertaining house guests we ever had. And it wasn't because he was nice. They didn't call him, like, good guy Dick, right? Like, he wasn't Mr. Nice Guy Dick. he was evil Dick, right? Like, that's true. We just won an underdog victory. And Ty, I'm with you there on that too. Like, I love rooting for the underdog. That's kind of like my stance is I usually, like, I'll have favorites, of course, right? Like, honestly, like, my favorites this season, as far as like people I actually thought were like a lot of fun on the show, Izzy, Hisam, Cory, Cirie was a lot of fun. Felicia was a lot of fun. But as far as like who I'm rooting for at any given moment, it's always the person who's the underdog. Whoever's in the worst position in the house, I want to see them win, because I want to see things flip and change. And that's when we get like the crazy, like, oh, whoa, hold on, we gotta move, right? Like, so I like when the underdogs get power. I like when the person who was in the most danger flips the house. I love those scenarios. And I totally understand when we're at the situation now where it's like, well, all the underdogs are kind of in trouble. we're kind of at that point where it doesn't seem like there's a chance for the underdogs. And I completely understand that, which also every season has, right? Like, I don't think there's any season of Big Brother that didn't have at some point where we go, like, we kind of know what's going to happen, right? Like, even if like it overcomes that afterwards, where like, we kind of know what's going to happen. And then eventually something happens that go, oh, we didn't see this coming. But we always get that lull. It just so happens that with this season, it was almost like forced upon us when they had the whole zombie week and it delayed the season pretty much by a whole week. And then with that, we just ended up having Jag just start winning all these competitions because, this is not an invalid argument that people were making. I think some people were thinking like I was completely against the idea that the competitions don't need to be reworked. I think they do. At the very least, they need to be smarter with when they do different competitions. And you don't want to be predictable that there's always a mental comp and there's a physical one, a mental, physical one, mental, physical, because that's too predictable. But like, there's no reason that Jag as a visible HOH should have been able to compete in the next one, right? Like, that shouldn't have been a thing. That's definitely a problem. I think there is an issue, and I keep seeing this narrative out there, and this is maybe a good discussion for the chat. I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on this. We can kind of get rid of our jury scenario thing, I guess, for a bit. I want to hear your thoughts on this, because it is clear that women are not winning as many competitions as men. And it's just kind of, that is factual, right? But my question is why? Why are they not competing as well? I don't know if it's just physical competitions. Like, I don't think that is the issue. I think it's an issue with the cast not being like up to the par of the competitions, if that makes sense. Which then also is kind of another catch-22, because if we start saying, yeah, we want, people to compete more fairly in there, do you change the competitions? Which most of the competitions, if we're being honest about this too, have they changed that much? I haven't done this, and it might be something I do in the off season where I literally go, and I might reach out to you guys for help with this too. Go each season and look at every single competition and figure out like how much of this was physical, right? Like, a lot of it's going to be a little subjective on like what we think is like physically inclined competition to just like a regular competition, right? Like, there were a lot of competitions this year that had physical natures to them, but I don't think made it where, oh, Jag had an advantage. For an example, right? I don't think there was an inherent advantage for anyone in that tow competition that like sprayed water. I think America could have easily won that over Matt, Jag, Cameron, anybody. It just so happened Jag and Cameron were both in that competition and both crushed it, right? So I don't think it was like unfair to have them competing against them, right? But then like, how do we change this? How do we make this better? Because we don't want to get rid of Felicia's in the house, but also are we saying we want to get rid of the Jags and the Camerons in the house? Like the people who are good at these competitions? I don't know what the actual answer is with this, right? Like what's causing it? What's the solution? And is that solution better or worse than what we already have? Because that's the other part of it, right? Like if we just said, okay, no more 60-year-old women. Well, that's not fun. Everybody loves when the 60-year-old women are on there. And if we say, all right, no more like physical comp beasts. Well, it's like, all right, well, now you're just like taking away like what most of the cast usually is. So like, I don't know what the solution is with that. I really don't. Let's see what the chat's saying. Add a physical with a puzzle at the end. Carol, that's a good solution, I think, right? Make it a little bit of both. Where, yeah, the only thing is with that, I don't know if that changes much. Because Carol, here's the thing. Jag's not a dummy. Cameron wasn't a dummy. And I think even if you had a like puzzle at the end of physical competitions, I think they still win those competitions. I really do. Because like they're physical, but they're also they're not dumb, right? Like they're not like the dumb jock. Like they're smart. They're smart athletes, right? So Hisam, I don't think if you put a puzzle at an end of a physical competition, I don't think that's going to stop Hisam at all, right? So it's like that might help, and Survivor does that a lot, where they'll have most of their competitions have a physical aspect to it, and then it ends with like a puzzle as the equalizer, right? But I don't know if that equalizer would matter much, because with the type of competition they have, I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's see. I know I missed a lot. I wish Pressure Cooker was later in the season. I kind of agree with that too. She's like 5 foot. They were running. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's not something like inherently different about that competition that would make it unfair for America to be in it. I don't. Equity is hard to implement. If they had more mental comps, should they make it easier for people with lower IQ and worse memory that had access to worse education? Stin, I mean, you gotta make a point there. Janelle was one of the female competitors that was calm and focused in competitions as well. That's why she's a comp piece. And I think you're making a great point there. I'm gonna need help with your name because I'm terrible with names, but I'm gonna give it my best chance here. Rishala? Maybe? Let me know if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but you're making a good point. Janelle was special, right? Like Janelle wasn't like your average random person. Janelle was a special competitor, right? Like she was unique. You don't get a Janelle every season. Same kind of thing goes if you look at BB20. BB20, women were winning competitions on that season. Why? Casey. But Casey wasn't the only one winning competitions. There were other women who were winning competitions on that season as well. So it's like, is it a casting issue? Is it a competition issue? Is it a mix of both? Which I think is maybe the real answer. I think we need better competitors. We need a little bit more mix of the competition styles. And I think also it's a game issue, right? Like, because here's the other thing. Jag doesn't go on this run if Hisam wasn't eliminated early. If Red wasn't eliminated early. Reilly was going to be a competitor in these competitions. but she was the second person voted out of the house. So, like, that's part of why women weren't winning competition. Two of the women who probably would have won the most competitions were out 1 and 2. Like, I think Kirsten, we didn't get to see her compete much. But if you look at the rest of the women in the house, I think she's beating a lot of them, right? Like, I don't know if she can beat a Jag, a Matt, a Cameron, right? But I think she's going to have a better shot at some of them. I just don't 100% know what the real issue is and what the real solution is. And because that's the thing with me. I don't like just complaining. I hate just, this is an issue and we need to fix it. Okay, well, what's the solution? Don't come to me with an issue. Come to me with an issue and an idea for a solution. Because if you're just coming with an issue, you're part of the problem too. Does everybody kind of understand what I mean with that? Like, if you're just going out there saying, we have an issue, but you have no solution to it, it's kind of part of the issue, right? Like, if you're not coming up with ideas on how to fix it, how do we do it, right? Maybe we should try a team season. Ooh, that would be interesting. We've had stuff like that before. Terrence said the competitions were a little different in the beginning. He said the last 6 years, the competitions have not been fair for everyone. And that's the thing. I want to see the actual stats for that. Because honestly, I don't know how true that really is, right? There's always been physical competitions in Big Brother. Like, always. Like, it's never not been a thing. I do think, like, the very early seasons, like, if you go to, like, BB3, BB4, BB5, I think a far, far less of them were physical. But once you start getting to, like, BB10 wasn't like the very first competition. They're all like climbing in and out of like this car that's hanging over a thing, and then they all had to pull on a rope. Didn't just a season later, what was it, BB11, when what's her name got stuck in the honey? Or was that 12, 13? Like, it wasn't that far later. Like, these they weren't easy competitions in Big Brother over the years, right? So, like, I want to know when did it really shift, and is it as big as a shift as we're people are trying to put it out there as? Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it really is. It might be. Yeah, the sheriff lady that got stuck in the honey. That was like season 13 or something, right? Like, that wasn't in the past 6 years. That was a long time ago, right? And maybe if you look at each individual competition that season, they lean more towards the mental. I'm not sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But I'd be interested to see what they were, right? Let's see. With 50 and over season, the lights would be out by 10. Oh, like, everyone has to be 50 or... What's that called? The like, retirement community? What did they call the Bachelor? Golden Big Brother? Yo, I wouldn't be opposed. I'd be down. I'd 100% be down for Big Brother, 100% the way it is too. Don't change a thing. Have the competitions be the same. But everybody's got to be over 50 years old. Everyone's got to be older. I like that idea, actually. I really do. Maybe added more endurance challenges and make people hold 15% weight. Oh, so Rockstar, that's a thing. And that's a thing that maybe they could actually do more of. But I understand the limitations that Big Brother has with this. And I think I have a solution on how they could do it in the future. So one of how things work with Big Brother is, for example, the veto competition during the double eviction, where they had to go get the balls. and they would take the balls and then lean over the railing and drop the ball into their tube, right? There was an advantage that Matt had because he had longer arms. He was technically reaching shorter and had to drop the ball shorter than everybody else did. Survivor, if they were running a situation like this, how they would do it, because how Big Brother does it is all the lanes are random. They randomly pick a lane, right? Like they might just say, yeah, we'll draw for spots, right? Survivor will do that as well, but what they do is they'll draw for spots and then also make sure whatever spot they're in is adjusted for height, weight, whatever the variable is for that competition. So in Big Brother, what they technically could have done, I guess, is added like blocks so that like Matt was higher up and his arm reach was reaching the same as everybody else. The issue is because Big Brother is so fast paced with a lot of these competitions, it can be hard to do that on the schedule they have to do to get these competitions done so quickly, because you either have to have like predetermined lanes and know like, all right, Matt's going to be in this lane, because those are the big things that Survivor has an advantage on. They could take an hour to set it all up, right? They could draw for spots, say, all right, everybody chill, we're going to set this up, and then they start filming again. You don't have an hour to fix the competition, right? Like you have to have it set up and ready to go. Now, how they could change this though is if they have their own dedicated competition space, which is something I've been asking for them to have forever. And it's kind of something we've seen them have the luxury of having a little bit more recently in some of the past seasons. They have this new like competition space they use, but also they've been using sets for TVs and movies like out on the street. And that's been kind of nice too. So I like that. But yeah, definitely, I think there are things they can do for some competitions, but for others, what's the solution, right? Like what is the answer? Because I don't think all of these competitions that Jag won are strictly because the competition itself wasn't fair. I think it's just because he was a better competitor than everybody else, right? Like there wasn't anybody else on there that could compete with him for many reasons, right? Whether it was Hisam, who got taken out earlier, Cameron wasn't there anymore, Reilly, who got taken out. They didn't cast the people who could compete with him. Like there's many reasons on why, but what is the solution? How do we get there? And I'm not sure. And it also makes me part of the problem because I don't have an answer. By my own definition I gave earlier, I don't have a clear answer yet. Because also, I don't think we have all the numbers either. Like I said, I think we need to go back season by season and see what is really causing this. Is it a casting issue? Is it a competition issue? Is it actually something that's been happening more just in the recent seasons? I'm not 100% sure. I think there's a bit of a trend, but I don't think it's like drastic either. Like I don't think all of a sudden competitions went from like 50% were physical to like 75 are physical now. Like I think if anything it's like, we went from like 6 physical competitions to 7 or 8. Like I think that's how much it's changed. Not as crazy as people are trying to make it out to seem like there was never a physical competition on Big Brother. People are trying to make it out to seem like in the years past you could be anyone and win. No, there were competitions that were just harder for others to win. In fact, one thing I think you can say, this is one that is, without a doubt, they've made a distinct change, and it has made the competition worse. This one I will not have any doubt on. I do think they've made a mistake. The wall competition. You used to be able to squat down in the wall competition. but they've added like a piece of plastic that goes between your legs. So you can't squat anymore. And squatting and saving your legs was a big thing that would help the smaller competitions or the smaller competitors do well in those competitions. And since they've made that change, which has happened within the past few years, it has trended more towards bigger guys winning it because they have upper body strength. Because now they have like set holds and stuff like that too. Like you can like have like a higher handhold or a lower handhold. It used to be the handhold was exactly the same for everybody. So that's actually a scenario where making the competition more equitable was worse for what people want. See what I'm saying? Where it's not easy. They made the wall more fair for everyone. Therefore, it is now not as fun as it used to be. And that's an issue you got to be careful with, because now you could end up making the competitions worse and making it where, oh yeah, now you've done it where Jag will run away with every competition next time, right? Like you got to be careful. It's a dangerous game that you play when you start messing around with this stuff and you just kind of do things without a plan. It can be very dangerous. Unless adjustments are made with equipment to make it an even chance, the physical are geared to be won by stronger players. But so Otter, I agree, but also like I just said, it used to be the wall competition was won by the small women or like the small guys. Like Cory would have had a great shot at winning the wall competition if this was like BB10, BB11, BB12. But in more recent years, the wall competition has changed. A video about the evolution of the wall comp. Josh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'm adding it to the list. That's a thing too as well, guys. If you have ideas for like videos you'd like to see, especially during the off season of like Big Brother ideas, other reality show ideas, stuff like that, like let me know. Like put them in the comments of the video, post them up in Discord, tag me in them and stuff. If you have any good ideas like that, let me know. Let's see, evolution of the wall. Added it to the list. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I think they did the right thing with that competition, by the way. The wall, Ace the Wall competition, maybe. Let's see. A BB streamer season. For each competition, though, people throw... Barbara, that's another great point. That is another great point. People throw competitions. How many of these competitions that, you know, could have been won by, you know, Felicia, could have been won by Cirie, could have been won by America, could have been won by Blue, Mimi. How many of them were thrown? And it's why, like, people go, oh, the women aren't winning competitions. Maybe because the women are throwing competitions because they don't want to be seen as a threat. And that's why it's like people are jumping on this narrative of like, the competitions aren't fair and we need to change things. It's like, is that really what's happening? Is it? I'm not 100% sure. I really am not. I don't know. A season where you can't throw comps. So a season where you can't throw comps would have something very similar to what BB Can 11 did. So for the first, God, does anybody remember how many weeks they did it? For like the first like 2 or 3 weeks, they had this thing called Dead Last. And instead of 2 nominees that the HOH would nominate, there were 3 nominees. 2 the HOH would nominate, and 1 who was dead last in the competition. And as Stin just said, Renee, it was pretty much, it was always Renee. She was always dead last. So she always was nominated. But that's the type of thing where you could do where, hey, maybe you add something in there where, like, if you're throwing competitions and you're coming in last, there's a negative to that, right? And maybe it's not a negative as like you're nominated. Maybe it's there's an advantage for coming in a better position, right? Like, just because you didn't win, if you come in second, third, maybe fourth, maybe you get some kind of advantage to that, right? Like, maybe it's like a piece of a veto, and after like so many pieces, you get a real veto that you can use, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, right? But I think there's ways that we have to consider everything, because it's not just, oh, the competitions are fair. Sometimes people aren't trying in the competitions, and that means that there's certain people that are going to win more because they're not even having somebody try, right? Like, I don't know. It could be tough. I know someone on BB Can 11 that would never get dead last. there was one person who would never get dead last. Man, that guy went on. He went on to do some great things. And Stin, isn't it kind of interesting that it's a very similar narrative to what he had last season, actually, but for different reasons. First, so, oh yes, Christy, with this wall competition, so many of them were weakened by being on slop all week. They had a whole week of slop, and that was specifically set up so they wouldn't go as long on the wall. That's a big part of why they made changes to the wall. It was going on for too long, and production's like, we need to wrap this up. How can we make this go quicker? Let's see. I agree. Competitors should not be allowed to throw competitions, which is also kind of a weird thing too, because it's a strategy that goes back to the very beginning. Will threw every single competition he could because he realized very quickly, oh, if you win, you got to make an enemy. What? Why do I want to win and be the one to make an enemy? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Let everybody hate each other, right? So do we take that strategy part out of it? I don't know, right? Because it is such a big part. But it would be nice if it did give a little bit of an incentive for the people who normally would throw to not throw, because maybe there was some kind of thing that they also wanted, right? I don't think it's a very straightforward, easy thing to fix on why competitions seem to be won more by men, that's the other thing too. Like, I agree, it's an issue. I would rather see a season where I don't know who's going to win competitions, right? Like, we knew right away when the Invisible HOH was BB Comics. As soon as we heard that, we immediately knew who couldn't be HOH. And I hate that, right? Like, I don't like that, right? That's the other thing. Choosing when competitions happen is a factor. And that's also where I love all the people who were like, oh, they're rigging the whole season for Cirie. Then explain to me why the Invisible HOH was BB Comics. Please, if they're rigging the competition so that Cirie would win the season, please explain to me why that one was a physical competition. Because it doesn't make any sense. But that's another story. That's a whole another topic. Cirie will be influential in that house. She will flip blue. She could. Cirie will definitely be an influence in how the jury votes. And if I'm Matt, I'm very happy that Cirie is going to jury, because she is going to be very strongly in his corner, trying to influence that jury. Good players know when to go and or when to throw. 100%, Otter. 100%, right? Which is why I wouldn't want to see that not in the game, right? Because there are competitions You just don't want to win because you have no reason to. Throwing competitions is part of the game. Again, please don't change Big Brother, but it's gonna ruin it. Everybody needs not to complain. And Cinda, that's kind of my point. Is like if we have an issue and we think there's something that needs to be changed, let's not just complain. Let's come up with a solution. Let's come up with answers. Not just complaints. Let's come up with answers. You are not making an enemy. You have to make a decision and play the shore and not be a floater. So Marlene, I hear you, and that is a completely valid way to play, right? Of like go in there and just play hard. But you gotta give credit. Like, I think Marlene, you might be one who has kind of gotten into this idea that floaters are a bad thing. Floaters and coasters are different. You don't want to be a coaster. A coaster it's really got two ways of being used as, kind of like a joke. Either you're coasting along, like you're just kind of riding the waves, not doing anything, right? Like what people think floaters are. Or you're literally a coaster. You're not even the table. You're just a thing they put on the table so there's not a ring that forms. Like you're a coaster in the house. You don't want to be that. You want to be making decisions. Floaters find power and use it to their advantage. Kind of a good example of floater versus a coaster. I think the prime example of someone who did floating and just was beautiful at it, and I don't think gets the credit he deserves as a winner, Andy. I think Andy on BB15 was like the epitome of a good coaster. I think, or a good floater, I should say. He floated between all the different power, made decisions on where his loyalty should be at that moment for what was good for him. And that is a legitimate strategy in the game. DBE Fox, you kind of said it. Bowie Jane's a coaster, right? Like Bowie Jane was just kind of there. She won some competitions, but she really was just kind of there. More honestly, you know who's more of a coaster than Bowie Jane? And it pains me to say this. It really pains me to say that this person was a coaster, because I liked this person coming into this game. I really did. And I had high hopes for her. And there were even moments in this game where I said she was great. Mimi was a coaster. Mimi just didn't do what she needed to do in the game. She stayed way too low for way too long, and she didn't perform. Roman, exactly. Mecole. She was the coaster of the season, where she was just there. She never really mattered as far as making decisions or anything like that. Cirie's a good actual floater, actually, right? Like Cirie kind of had some good deals with everybody. Cory, even you could say, was a bit of a floater, right? Where he would make deals with who he needed to. America, floater. I think it was one of those things where Rachel made floater a bad term, right? And don't get me wrong, Rachel, she was great, right? But floater, not a bad thing. Coaster is a bad thing. You don't want to be a coaster. If you're a coaster, that's bad. Floater, you could get to the end. Floating is a legitimate strategy. It can be. And those are the people who are like, well, yeah, I don't want to win a competition and show my cards. Like, if I got to show my cards right now, my game is screwed. But that is a part of Big Brother, right? Is not showing your cards when you don't want to. Mimi was forgettable. I know, and it stinks because I loved Mimi. Mimi's rants in the pantry. Oh, they were so great. They were so great. But she never turned it on when she did. Here's the thing. We thought Mimi was going to play the floater role of like going back and forth. You know who actually kind of played Mimi's game? Bowie Jane. Bowie Jane was who we thought Mimi could be. I thought Mimi could be in the Bowie Jane spot where she's going to the finals. And not only would she be going to the finals, I think she would have more win equity to her. I think she would have a better chance of being someone who could win if she was in Bowie Jane's spot. But she never did it. She never did it. She never turned it on. And that was a shame. Matt and Jack should be final two, playing hard. I agree. I think at this point, like, they're the ones who kind of deserve the most. They've earned their spot. If I could pick like the best people to be, like, if of who's left, Matt and Cirie. Matt and Cirie played the best games, I think. Jag is slightly in third, mainly because his jury management has just been atrocious. It's been so bad. It's awful. Like, it's maybe some of the worst jury management I've ever seen. Like, it's truly bad. But other than that, he's playing great. He's playing great, but wanted more out of Mimi after seeing her rant in the pantry, right? Like, she saw the game so well, but it just never came together for her. Or is slightly off topic, but I want your opinion on something. The Invisible HOH being able to play in the next week was incredibly unfair, especially late in the season. 100% agree, Josh. 100% agree. It should not have been able to play twice in a row. Yeah, especially because it almost ended up being, in a way, for Jag, 3, you could even say 4 HOHs in a row, because Bowie Jane and Matt were both going to do whatever Jag also wanted to do. Like, it was a rough 4 weeks here. Hey, we got Roman coming on in with the super chat. You get a little Hisam dance going on here. If Rachel said comp piece about to get neutered, would people have started hating comp piece? First off, I love it. I love that line. If I ever get a chance, I'm using that line. Comp piece, you're about to get neutered. That's fantastic. But second, maybe, right? Like, if that was the iconic line, would people start going like, yeah, like, the people who are trying too hard in the competitions, like, they're not playing the real game. Like, there's also, Roman, if we're being honest, there are some people in the fandom who believe competitions do not matter, right? Like, they think, if you win a competition, so what? They matter. They matter quite a lot, in fact. Do I think, winning competitions the end-all be-all? No. Just like I think having a good social game isn't the end-all be-all, right? Like, just because you have a great social game, if you did nothing to earn your spot in the final two, should you win it? Probably not. You probably need something on your resume, whether it's a competition win or a big move that you made and implemented in the game. Something, right? It's a multi-facet thing, right? Where you need a good social game, you need to win competitions in the right spot, you need a little bit of both, right? And I think there's something fair to saying, if you're only winning competitions, are you really that good? And if you're only doing a social game, are you really that good? It's the mix of both that I think makes a great competitor at the end of the day. Especially, too, because competitions matter a lot at the end. Final 7 on, competitions are way more important than social. The social, you should have already had the social set up before Final 7. If you're going into Final 7 trying to figure out how you're getting to the end, it's too late for you. You have to win every competition. You need to be going into the Final 7 knowing, okay, I need to make sure this person goes and this person goes, then this person goes, and I need to make sure they don't win a competition, because that person's going to take me, this person's going to take me, that person's going to take that person. I can't have that. That's the type of thing you're starting to think about in the final 7. And in order to make those type of things happen, you need to be winning HOH. You need to be winning veto. You need to secure your spot, which is also why like final 5 is a tough HOH to win, because if you win the final 5 HOH, you then only get 1 shot to guarantee your spot in the final 3. Matt doesn't have a chance to play in the HOH in final 4, meaning that it's probably going to be Bowie, Jag, and Felicia. The 3 of them each get 2 shots at making the final 3. Matt doesn't. Final 5 HOH is kind of what you don't want to win. Like, if we're being honest, if you can, you'd rather not. Because you want 2 shots at getting to the final 3. You want to guarantee your spot there. But yeah, the final 7 competitions are huge. Like, they matter so much. Jeff won the coup d'etat, but was not allowed to tell. If he did, he lost the power. Lynn, that's a good point. They used to do that where if you had some power, you weren't allowed to tell anybody. And if you told anybody, you would lose that power. Why they didn't do that with the invisible HOH, I don't know. I really don't know. Why they didn't do that with Matt's power earlier in the season, I don't know. I think it makes for more interesting stuff when you can't tell anybody. Because, and I think even production would want this as well, because it takes the air out of the balloon, right? Like, you want it going into Thursday where you've got no clue. Like, are they going to use the power? Or are they not going to use the power? And if they do use the power, how are they going to use it? Because they can't talk about it. It makes it more suspenseful. But when you allow them to discuss it with other house guests, we find out about it on the feeds and it's no longer a surprise. Like, make them have to keep it a secret. And like, I also get there is the idea of like, all right, if America and Cory, one of them had won the power, right? If Cory had won the power, he would want to discuss it with America. That's also kind of the fun where he can't, right? He has to like figure out what America thinks he should do with it without ever telling her. That makes it fun and interesting. So I agree. Yeah, they should have it be a rule when you get some kind of secret power. If you win some kind of special thing, you got to keep it a secret. You can't tell anybody. It's gotta be a shock. Boston Rob was a comp beast on All-Star Survivor, but also lost to Amber because he didn't do any jury management. Right? That's the thing. That's the thing. You need both. You need both. One is not good enough. On this season, the house guests did a great job of voting out competitors. The problem is that Matt saved Jag. 100%, Michelle. And whose fault is that? If we really go back, who was the one who had a chance to stop Matt from saving Jag? Cirie. Cirie let it happen. She let it happen. Because what she could have done too is she could have been like, yeah, save Jag. And they could have voted out Blue. She could have blindsided Jared. I know that was a whole situation with that too. But at the end of the day, Cirie had the knowledge to make this different, but she chose to let Jag stay. And also, I think that's such a linchpin in this season, because Cirie knew Jag was going to stay, but she did not capitalize on that enough. She only worried about her relationship with Matt. As soon as she knew that Jag was staying in that vote, she should have locked in Jag and been like, listen, Matt told me, he asked me what I should do, and I without a hesitation, I said, you save Jag. I made sure that he had some doubts and he wasn't sure, and I said, no, he's your best friend, he's our ally, you save him. But she didn't do that. She kind of just let it happen. She just kind of let it happen, and that was a big turning point. Invisible HOH, yeah, that was another big problem too. But Cirie definitely did not help herself, knowing about it all happening and not taking advantage of that and making sure. Also, I saw someone Oh, you were, Marlene, I thought you were saying you had a suggestion, but you were saying you agree with his suggestion. Got it. Matt should have thrown to Cirie. Oh, 100%. Matt should have thrown this HOH to Cirie. If Cirie would have been the final 5 HOH, it would have been great for Matt. 100%. Like, it would have been fantastic. No solution to BB. It will continue to be great or fade away. I'm with you on that one too, right? Like, I don't know if there really is a way to fix. The only thing I could say that maybe would fix BB, right? And maybe help make it a little bit more palatable. Stop with the whole silliness, right? Like, it's not a summer camp. Like, be a little bit more serious, right? Like, when Cameron wins the power of veto during that, like, blacked out room where you couldn't see, there's no reason for him to have to scream at the camera going, "The power of BB compels you." Like, we don't need that. We don't need that silly stuff. Or what was it that Jag had to say when he won veto? He had to, like, pick up that phone because it was an antenna. Like, we don't need it to be that silly. It can be a little bit more serious. They can take it a little bit more with kind of like how Survivor or The Challenge does theirs. But I also understand that the silliness, it goes for the casuals. Like, the silliness is not there for us, right? The silliness is there for the people who normally watch NCIS, right? Like, they're not big reality show fans. They just like television, and they keep the silliness for that. Like, that's why. But yeah, Jack had to get the help. Help. Like, why? We don't need that. Episodes aren't amazing unless it's a double. Stan, you're right on that one, right? Like, episodes have not been great. They have not been great. Cirie wanted Matt and Jag in her pocket, and Jared screwed it up, right? Roman, you're kind of right on that too. Like, Jared was kind of the issue with all that, right? Like, Jared was a hindrance to Cirie's game. It started as a great benefit, but it ended up being much more of a hindrance to her game. But also, in a way, Jared wasn't playing terribly, and I'd almost say Cirie/Izzy was a hindrance to Jared's game in the end, right? Like, they both weren't great for each other. They both had different agendas at certain points. Norma asking the big question of the day: did I watch Survivor last night? I think we're gonna call the stream here in just a bit, but I wanna talk about Survivor last night, because oh my goodness, oh, what an episode! Can we talk about that? Can we talk about what happened? Let's pull up our little Survivor picture here so we can see all of the castaways, the different advantages they have. So this is post tribal with Jay gone already. But oh my goodness. So first off, a couple of things that I thought were interesting about the episode before we get into tribal. And this was just a question I had as I was watching it. So one of the first things we saw was Bruce finding the beware advantage. And he kind of shared it with everybody at camp. And one of the things I thought was interesting was, okay, so Bruce lost his vote the second he opened that. But he shared it with everybody else. So just hypothetical here, it didn't end up this way. He got the idol and he has it, right? If Caleb would have found that idol before Bruce and kept it, would Bruce ever get his vote back? Like would Bruce just have lost his vote for good because he never would be able to get the idol? Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that would work. And it was just a scenario that popped in my head there because it seemed like they were setting that up where it was like, oh, it's like under the camp. We got to go get it. But then like the other girl showed up and they all had to like stop. They were like, oh, yeah, Stan, exactly. What if somebody else finds it? Do you ever get your vote back? Or didn't find the idol before merge, right? Like, what if the idol was left there at camp? What would he, JD, right? Would he have to, in the middle of the night, like, swim? Would he have to, like, make a trek to go back to the old camp and find that idol just to get his vote back? Like, what would have worked with that? Now, I know what the answer is. The answer is whatever Jeff would have thought was the most entertaining thing at Tribal. If Jeff thought it would have been more entertaining for him to lose his vote that Tribal, he would have lost his vote. If Jeff thought it was more entertaining for him to have a vote, he would have a vote. That's how it would work, for being honest. If you guys want to talk about production, like having an influence on the game, Jeff makes up rules on the fly. Like, you know what one I think was 100% was a rule on the fly? Oh, look at that. We got Grace and Mercy with a little super chat. You get the Hisam dance. Hi, Ori and Ory-Os. How are you? Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. You know what I think's a great example of Jeff, like, implementing a rule on the fly? And I actually really think if anybody else would have attempted this, he would have said, yes, it's an idol. Was when, what's his face? Was it Adam on Winners at War? Tried to grab the idol that was on the podium, but like it wasn't an idol. It just looked, it was like the Florida Lou thing, which is what all the other idols look like. I guarantee you, if somebody else that like Jeff like really wanted to stay that Tribal, if somebody else needed it and tried to do that, I guarantee he would have said, yeah, that's an idol. Like if it was like Kelly Wentworth, if Kelly Wentworth was like, Jeff, I'd like to play this as an idol, he would have been like, does not count, does not count, does not count. Like, I really think that was a on the moment decision of Jeff just being like, yeah, that's not an idol, kid. Nope. But I really want to know, would that have been an idol for somebody else? Maybe. But also I want to know, what would have happened to Bruce? Would he have lost his vote? Would he have gotten it back? I just thought that was an interesting thing that kind of happened. But another kind of interesting thing that happened was we had merge. No more tribes, but kind of, because it's not really merge. We've got like the separate tribe thing, and I just don't like this. I don't know, like there's something about it where I just don't like the idea that you've made the merge, but you didn't make the merge, and you randomly get split into two groups, and you might be safe, you might not be safe. I'd rather if they split it into two tribes and just did a couple of weeks of two tribes, right? Like go from 3 to 2, then do a merge, right? Like I like do like 3 weeks of that, right? Like that's probably about how many you would need, I think, for it to make sense. But yeah, I just don't, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of when they do this at merge. It just feels weird. Because it feels like if you make merge, you make merge, right? But this, it's like a hat on a hat on a hat type thing. I don't know. But we get that, and it all kind of goes the way it does. We have like half the tribe that's safe, half the tribe that's not. It seemed like it was going to be Bruce, but then Bruce ends up getting into the group that is immune. So then it starts looking like it's going to be Jay. And then out of nowhere, Caleb's name gets thrown out there. And Caleb had been looking like perfect. He'd been sitting fine and pretty. But credit to them, they realized that, right? Like even there was one point where Bruce said to Caleb, like, listen, like you might not think you're in a good position, but you're in a great position with a lot of power. So it wasn't like he was incognito, right? Like they were aware They're fully aware that Caleb was dangerous. But Emily, realizing this was happening and being so close with him, fills him in, and he plays his shot in the dark. And for the first time, maybe, we'll never know. Like, we'll never know for sure if Jeff didn't, like, grab another one. Like, we don't know for sure if that scroll really was the scroll. Like, we can only just assume that, yes, it actually did work. But again, if you want to talk about, like, production having a hand, it's way more interesting if Caleb stays. I'm just saying. But yeah, definitely was wild that it was just Caleb does not count. Caleb does not count. Caleb does not count. All because of a dice roll. Like, wild. 1 in 6 shot. A 1 in 6 shot. Like, I've never seen a tribal council explode when they showed that. Like, when it said safe, everyone went crazy. I'll also say this. If I was there and I knew it was unanimous for Caleb, and there's a thing like shot in the dark, I'm writing down Sifu. Like, I'm writing down Drew. I'm writing down Sifu. D. Any random person. Any random person that I'm not working with, their name's getting written down other than Caleb. Anyone. If I'm there, I ain't letting it go undecided. Like, there's a chance he has an idol. He can play shot in the dark. Too many variables. I'm writing a random name down. Period. I ain't telling anybody about it. And I'm changing my handwriting. I'm gonna make it look different. But I'll tell you what, I ain't writing Caleb. I'm not letting that happen. That's for sure. Yeah, definitely just a wild tribal council. And at this point, I'm all in on Caleb. Like, I know, like, Caleb's got a target on his back now at this point. But maybe that's enough to now be like, all right, well, we already kind of took that shot at him, and now, like, there's other shots that we kind of have to take. Because now, if you're Reba, you got to really make sure that Bello, because there's a lot more cracks on Bello, you got to make sure you take one of those Bello people out. Whether it's Bruce or Jake or any of them. And the way I've kind of set this up too, it also kind of shows a little bit, like, it's not really an alliance chart, but like Drew and Austin, super tight. They're not going against each other. D and Mama J, super tight. They're not going against each other. Emily and Caleb, super tight. They're not going against each other. These other 6 are kind of out in the wind, right? Like, you've got, you know, somewhat of the Bello 5 kind of there, right? Like, they're kind of sticking together. And you've got somewhat of the Reba 5 over here. And then you've got, you know, Caleb and Emily kind of in the middle right there. Reba has some tight family roots, right? So like that core 4 that we saw even in the episode, they talked about it with D, Mama J, Austin, and Drew. That is like the tightest one right now. Like, that's the one you got to be careful of. And if you're Reba, at this point, you don't want to turn on Caleb and Emily. You want to use them to take out one of the Bello people so that they don't all form up. And that's also why, like, as soon as the revote happened, I know a lot of them were saying, well, like, yeah, let's just do Emily. If you were the Bello people, if you immediately didn't go, yeah, we're voting for one of the Rebas, you didn't have a clue. Like, it was going to be Jay. You want to then work with Emily and Caleb and weaken Reba at that point. If you know both of them are staying, like, yeah, you could take a shot at Emily, but then you just have Caleb who's in the wind there, and maybe you can pull him over. But I'm telling you, if Emily's gone and Caleb's here, guess where he's going? Drew and Austin, right? Like, you don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that Reba gets more weakened. So yeah, what an episode. What an amazing episode. The Emily Caleb like dynamic, like the pair of them, absolutely love it. Because they're not a pairing that you would put together. They're put together out of circumstances. Their tribe was awful. Emily was the tribe pariah. Caleb was, hey, I see that she's on her own. Come hang out with me. Like it is a pairing that shouldn't happen and probably wouldn't happen 9 times out of 10. But I love that they're a pair. I absolutely love that the two of them are together. Kelly and Austin might go at each other to get full idol from Amulet now. That's true. That's true. The Amulet situation is kind of messy. So much momentum going in Jay's direction. Barely any time to get the Emily vote. 100%. Reba shouldn't help Austin get a full powered idol. Good for Austin, bad for them if he doesn't use it in their favor. 100% stim. But you also want to make sure that you're not giving Kelly a full amulet for a full idol either. You got to be careful of that. Lulu was facing Extinction, and those two only had each other. 100% ace. It's such a fun little duo. Fun episode last night. Peace and love from St. Louis. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Yeah, what a fun episode of Survivor that was. Really, really fun. But yeah, that pretty much covers everything from that episode. There was some stuff we could talk about. House of Traitors, House of Villains, which, guys, if you're not watching House of Villains, go watch House of Villains. It's the most seriously unserious show I've ever seen. Like, it's the best way to really describe it. The show is just, it takes itself so seriously, but it's so unserious at the same time. Like, it's very tongue-in-cheek, but it's been a lot of fun. And like, there's a lot of good like cast members on there that are causing drama, like Omarosa, Johnny Bananas, Johnny Fairplay, New York. It's been a lot of fun. Traitors Canada too has been going on. It's the Kevin Martin show over there, but Koozie and Magic Mike are killing it as well on that. But I was a little surprised to see Kevin still around. So we'll see how long he can do on there. Anything else really going on? The challenge. There is the challenge happening. Anybody watching the challenge? What do you guys think of this season of the challenge? I like the format. It's different. I like that they have to work as like a team, and then they do the competition, and the way they have it all set up, I like it. I like how it's all set up. The cast though, when the person on the cast that you like the most is from the circle, like I don't even know what his name is. I just know that he was on the circle, and his brother and mom were on the circle at one point too. Like, that's the only thing I know about him. Like, but I like him. Like, other than that, like, he just seems like he's the most fun, and he's kind of not even on the show. Like, he's barely on the show. But other than that, like, it's I'm interested to see how it all plays out. But yeah, there's nobody I'm like invested in that I care about them doing well. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Buddy Games. I never really gave Buddy Games a chance. Amazing Race. It's there. It's happening. But again, like I'm not like super invested in it this season. Yeah, Ed. Josh nailed it. He's the one I like the most, and like I barely know him. It's not saying a lot, right? But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out, but we'll see. Kind of the same thing with the Amazing Race. Like, I'm interested to see how the Amazing Race plays out, but I'm just not invested with it. Amazing Race was good early on, but I only got so much time for it. Ace, right? Like I only have so much time. I really do. Buddy Game sucks. That was one where I was like, it could be fun, but I wanted to let it kind of play out. Yeah, I made the live chat. Gonna listen while I'm working like every morning. Have a great day, Ori. Misty, love it. Thank you for hanging out. We're probably gonna be wrapping it up here fairly soon. But yeah, it's been fun. I like doing these lives. I think even once the off season ends, I kind of want to do some of these in the morning, kind of maybe sporadically. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure out like a good schedule. I don't know if I can commit to every morning doing a stream, but definitely want to try and get more of these in, because I think this is probably the best way to discuss other shows like Survivor, Traitors, because Traitors USA, listen guys, when Traitors USA season 2 drops, we're covering that. It's gonna be wild. Like, that's gonna be a great season. But I think this type of format where I get to kind of chat with you guys live, I think this is what really works best for those shows. Big Brother, I can do the update videos, get you fully updated, and I feel like that works. But it doesn't really work that well for the other shows. So I think this is something I want to keep around. Plus, in the off season, I have like, guys, there's so many projects. Like, there's so many ideas. The time is going to be the big problem. Luckily, once the feeds end, I'll have a lot of time that I can probably put more towards these. But I want to do these kind of like off-season videos, talking about other Big Brother topics, other reality shows as well. I have this idea to do kind of like a rewatch of old reality shows back in the day. Like, do you guys remember the Big Brother clone that ABC did called Glass House? Yeah, probably not a lot of you do, but I watched like part of the first episode on stream a while back, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. So I think like I want to do stuff like that, and have like some like fun videos that we can kind of talk about, like why these shows are no longer around, what was good about them, what was bad. There was another one too that was really interesting. It was Utopia, small Murder in Small Town X, just all of these like old reality shows, which, by the way, if you guys have any suggestion for like old reality shows that would be fun to kind of do like a retrospective kind of look back on, let me know if you have any good ideas for those, because the other part of it is finding it. You don't know how hard it is to find copies of the show Utopia and not be like the comedy show that was on like Amazon or something. Yeah, Murder in a Small Town X, I want to do that. And so there's a lot of like old ones that I want to kind of look at, and definitely let me know if you guys have any suggestions for some other ones there are too. There's always a way to get anything. Stin, you would think, but like there's at least 2 episodes of that show I have not been able to find. Random, but do you play any games, Ori? So yes, that's another thing I want to do more of too, is more like gaming streams over on Kick and Twitch. Definitely we got the new Call of Duty coming out, which I haven't played a Call of Duty in years. Like, the last Call of Duty I played a lot of was probably Modern Warfare 3, which is the new one that's coming out. I know, doesn't make a lot of sense. There was a Modern Warfare 3 back in like, what was that? 2010, 2011, something like that. They got a new one that's coming out, so it's called the same thing. It's like a remake, but then they're using maps from like another one. It's a confusing mess, but that's coming out like in a week. That I'm interested in. Another thing I'm really interested in too, and this would be fun because it would involve a lot of you guys, Jackbox. I don't know if you guys are aware of what Jackbox is, but basically it's like a party game where I can have it up on screen and you guys could play on your phones. Like it's like a party game where like people get to play. And you can have like a bunch of people in there. There's even like an audience section of it too. So like if you're not like a player, you can like be a part of it as well. And there's a brand new Jackbox that like just came out. So that would be kind of fun to do on stream. We could do things like Goose Goose Duck and Among Us nights too, where I don't know if you guys are aware of those either, but they're almost like weird little versions of Big Brother where it's like a social deception type thing. So those could be fun. Yeah, but definitely want to do more stuff, especially over on Twitch and Kick. I might try and do more of that stuff here on YouTube. I know a lot of people are doing that kind of a dual streaming thing, which I was doing a lot of dual streaming on Twitch and Kick, but now YouTube's been doing pretty well. So maybe I'll add that into the rotation as well. But I'm always a little weird and wonder about like the rules with copyright stuff, because sometimes it can be really weird and strict on YouTube, and especially with like music and like even like gaming stuff. I know it can be weird sometimes, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Jackbox is a hoot to play. Hope you do that. Yeah, so definitely want to do that. Jackbox is dope. All right, yeah, so you guys love Jackbox. Yeah. Definitely want to do some more of that kind of stuff. We got a lot of plans for the off season. Plus, I don't think the off season's going to be that long. I think we're getting another Big Brother fairly soon. I think by February we're going to be watching Big Brother again. And then after that, we're also going to have Big Brother Canada. Probably won't have live feeds, so that'll be a thing. But I have a very strong feeling, especially since the actors strike is still going on. Like they're still like talking about like maybe we'll go back to the table and start negotiating. I think a celeb or so Stin, that's the question. Is it a celeb season? Is it a regular season? Is it a like a mini returnee season where they call it like BB Legends, which that's my hope. I hope they do like a month-long season, kind of like Celebrity, right? Where it's not a big commitment. And then that way you get the real people we want to see play again. You get Danielle Reyes, you get Dan, you get Will, you get Derek. Like, I know a lot of them have said they won't play again, but a lot of them have said they won't play again because it's a 3-month commitment. Make it a month long. You might get them back. And we might get like an actual like all-star season where like you go, yeah, everybody deserves to be here. Like last All-Stars, not everybody deserved to be here. I think we all are fully aware David did not just fully call him out. There were people on that season that did not deserve to be there. So if they did one that was like a miniature, like smaller, shorter season, you would get a lot more of these people who normally wouldn't commit to doing it. Go, yeah, you know what? Sure, I'll come back and I'll do one. So I think that's what my hope is. But more than likely, it'll probably be like another Celebrity season, or even just a newbie, like a little newbie season. Something to throw on. Something will be on because they're gonna need something to show. Shows aren't going back into production yet. Like some of them are, but there's others that can't be filmed because you don't have an actor. So it's like, what are you gonna do? So we'll see. We'll see how that all goes. No Jackson. Bowie and Jag. Man, maybe get Bowie and Jag to come back on. BB25, right? Like that would be fun. That would be fun. 40 plus Big Brother would be great because the old people would be more cutthroat. We were talking about that earlier, Shelly. We said 50. We said 50 and over. 50 and over would be the cutoff. You call it Golden Big Brother. And you bring all the 50 and older cast members. They'll be more cutthroat. The competitions will be more even. It would be a lot of fun. Then I can play Stay Golden. There you go. You'd be perfect. An Aaron return, Stin. Stin's trying to stir some stuff up. Jet XB would be insane. So much drama. 100%. It would be a lot of fun. I think it would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think it's almost a guarantee we're gonna get some kind of season during the winter. I just think the strikes went on for too long and there's not new programming. I think it's just almost a matter of time. Yeah. But I think that might be a good time to kind of call it here. I gotta say, thank you guys all so much for hanging out with me here on the stream, for all the support you guys give me here on the channel. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Check out the links to all of my socials in the description down below. Some of them were in chat as well. Like if you want to join the Discord, which is a lot of fun, there should be a link coming up to that. If you want to support the Ori Fund, if you want to do any of the other things that you can do, if you want to join the channel as a member, you can do all those kind of things. But the things that help me the most are just the simple likes, or just the comments. All of those support the channel so much, and they're completely free. Completely free. We got about 400 people in this chat right now, and only about 200 likes. So smash that like button. And I really can't thank you guys all enough for all this love and support here on this channel. It's been just a wild ride, and we've got about a week left to go in Big Brother. But that's not going to end the content here on the channel. We're going to be going strong into the off season with even more. But thank you guys all so much for watching. We'll see who gets evicted tonight. Will it be Felicia? It's going to be Cirie. It's going to be Cirie. But we'll see that play out tonight. Thank you guys all again for watching. And I will see you next time.
But you should be, but you should be.